I have to believe he can come back. There's always hope. Frodo says the first in despair. Aragorn says the latter with a tinge of fear. The truth lies somewhere in between. We don't know if any good can crawl out of the worst parts of humanity, but there's always hope. This is Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
I promise we're not going to get into it, but this synopsis is really funny to read after you and I like had a meltdown over the Nelk Boys interview with Netanyahu.
Now we're going to talk about a movie that's about holding on to the good in the world.
Because if you know that news, you can't feel anything but despair.
As of recording this, that interview came out literally yesterday. And so Altaf and I just spoke about it before recording. We won't get into it, like I said.
Yeah.
You can find everything you need to find on it already.
If you're worried about, if you wanted to click on this video for some escape, trust me, you will get that. But it is also Lord of the Rings. Come on. We got to talk about how we feel about the world. Okay, welcome to Movies That Changed Us. I'm Altaf.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're going to talk about how Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers changed us. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or wherever you listen to our podcast, know that you can also watch us on YouTube at Movies That Changed Us.
And we do have a Patreon, guys. If anyone likes the show and wants to support us, you can go to patreon.com/moviesthatchangedus, where you can get access to early episodes of the podcast, ad-free. You can also get access to our new bonus show called Movies That Played Us. I think we're like a good 9 or 10 episodes in. It's basically where Altaf and I make games for each other that are movie-based. So we did like Guess the Movie Beard, Guess the Movie by the poster tagline, etc., etc. This most recent one we shot yesterday already, where Altaf made me a game, and it was Guess the Movie by the emojis. So that was fun.
Yeah, and let's just say Chris wasn't that impressed by my game.
Why? What do you mean I wasn't impressed?
Okay, here's the thing. We surprise each other with the game, right? Chris doesn't know what game I made for him and vice versa. So I was like, all right, today we're going to play Guess the Movie by the Emoji. And he was just like, oh, okay.
I was mellow about it. That doesn't mean that I wasn't impressed.
I just put a lot of work into it, and you were just like, whatever, another day. You you took your little timesheet and clocked in.
You know, for fun fact for listeners and viewers, Altaf disregards bits that I start all the time. Like, I start so many jokes that he just doesn't, he completely ignores, and he's like, I don't like this joke. I don't want to. I never bitch him out over it. Just to be clear for people, I never go like, I worked really hard. Why don't you love me?
No, I know you love me.
That's right.
Okay, Chris, at the beginning of each episode, we ask each other what art moved us this week. So what art moved you this week?
So, you know what movie I saw that I've been yelled at a lot for not having seen that I finally saw? I don't think you've seen it either. It's a little movie called Pretty in Pink, written by John Hughes.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I saw it finally. I enjoyed it. It's maximum, like, just the most 80s brat pack as it gets.
Okay, so give me the cast.
It's Molly Ringwald.
Okay.
I forget his name, but the guy from 2.5 Men.
Well, I'm your computer guy, so give me 1 second.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, the guy from you mean John Cryer?
Yeah.
Got it.
And James Spader's in it too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So yeah, really nice movie. I feel like I disagreed with the ending, like the logic in which the couple gets together. I disagreed with. You haven't seen it, so I can't get into specifics, but I think people who've seen Pretty in Pink know what I'm talking about. I feel like John Hughes does this thing where he'll make a really good movie, and then there'll be like a choice in the story where I'm like, I disagree with that, or that doesn't age well.
Yeah, that is the thing with John Hughes. Like, he is obviously this very like well-regarded filmmaker and writer, and he's made movies that are, some of them are my favorites. But then he also, like, you know, there's a lot of things in his movies that just straight up either don't age well, are sexist or racist just because of the time period. You know, so it is like this weird thing about his legacy.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, it's not like a super harsh criticism. It's just kind of funny. It's almost like tradition at this point when you watch a John Hughes movie.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I think Christmas Vacation might be up there as one of my favorite John Hughes movies.
Yeah, that movie's pretty fantastic.
And I know it's not directed by him, but still, like, Christmas Vacation just grows in estimation every year ever since we did that reaction to it.
The only movie of his that I've seen that I don't have that like, ooh, this doesn't age well or disagree. I think the only one is Home Alone.
Okay, yeah. I mean, what about Ferris Bueller?
There's only one tiny little moment in Ferris Bueller where he like pervs out his girlfriend to Cameron.
Yeah, that's weird. And
that's a tiny moment. Tiny. It's like Ferris Bueller's close. But yeah, so that's mine. What about you? What art moved you this week?
Well, I finally watched Eddington. I'm say finally. It like as of this recording, it just came out this past Friday, and I mean, I think for both you and me, you haven't seen Eddington yet, but I think for both you and me, Ari Aster is one of those filmmakers that any new movie he does, we're showing up.
Yes. I think the three, like the Holy Trinity, at least I feel like you and I can agree on this. Our Holy Trinity of current filmmakers that are still making movies are that we go to see every time is Ari Aster, Robert Eggers, and the Daniels.
Can I add a fourth in there?
Maybe, if it's good.
Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with you. And Eddington is, I mean, I've been holding back my opinion and I haven't really talked to you about it, but like, to hold it off for this podcast, Eddington is amazing.
Okay.
Like,
cool. What genre do you consider it? Because I was curious about it, like when I saw the trailers.
I guess it's a thriller. I feel like if it's closest to anything, it's a thriller. You know, obviously, I think people know that this movie's set during 2020, and it's about a small town, Eddington, where Joaquin Phoenix plays the town's sheriff, and Pedro Pascal plays the town's mayor, and they're both, in opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to handling this pandemic and handling this town during the pandemic. Obviously, Joe Cross is on the side as like, I'm just looking out for everybody and people are treating people horribly just because they don't wear a mask. And there's like excruciating scenes where like, grocery store owners are not wanting this one man to come in because he's not wearing a mask and he refuses to. And Joe Cross is like, let him come in. You can't treat people like this. This man just wants to buy groceries. And Pedro Pascal's on the other side. And that's like what the trailer is giving you. That is like one aspect of the movie.
Interesting. Okay, there's a lot more to it.
The movie's very much about 2020, but it's also about like what 2020 kind of did to us, like as people. Like it's not just about like these people, the right don't wear masks and the liberals are entitled. You know what I mean? It's so much about like what it really did to us on people, like what it did, like how there's this like kind of poison that kind of was birthed from this, that COVID maybe didn't start, but it definitely accelerated. And in moments it's obviously very uncomfortable to watch, being brought back into that time that you don't really want to go back to. But then there are large sections of the movie where my audience was laughing. Like, it's really funny.
Ari Aster has a sense of humor. He has like an unconventional way of making people laugh.
Last thing I'll leave you on without spoiling it, because I'm sure you're going to watch it.
Yeah, I want to.
There's a needle drop in this movie that my jaw was on the floor.
Okay, cool.
And when you get to it, you have to, like, when you watch the movie, you have to call me immediately because I'd like to talk about that needle drop with you.
Okay, all right, bet. Sounds good.
Yeah. I'd encourage people to go see this movie because I know there's probably people listening to this podcast or watching us that are like, I don't want to go back into the pandemic. I do think, and I understand that. And the movie doesn't shy away from, getting you back into that time. But there's a lot more going on there, and there's a lot more to chew on than just like, the simple pedantic things that went on during the pandemic.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to check that one out, and I've been looking forward to it for a while, so.
Well, yeah, okay, let's move on, I guess, to You know, the main feast, which is, Chris, how did Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers change you?
The Two Towers is the movie that is most burnt into my brain when it comes to the Lord of the Rings movies I grew up with. Particularly, sorry, I'm going to clear my throat real quick. Particularly,
oh my God.
Are we keeping it then? I was expected to cut it out, but all right, right on, let's keep it. But particularly the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Yes.
I saw that scene in theaters when I was probably about 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old. And it was probably one of the most mind-blowing experiences I've ever had in a theater. I think all of it too. I mean, obviously that's, we'll get into that scene, so I won't, vent too much about it, but just put yourself in the shoes of an 8-year-old who's never seen anything like that before. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
all the other elements of the movie stuck with me too. I remember how much Gollum like creeped me out, and how but also at the same time I felt the same like kind of mixed like pity for him that Frodo felt too. Even as a kid, I was able to understand that he was more complicated than just this like skeevy little, monster, that he is also a victim of the ring. And point is, I guess, really that one is the most like memorable to me as a kid. And I saw only Fellowship and Two Towers in theaters, and I saw Return on DVD, which sucks to say. I wish I saw Return in theaters when it came out.
No, I mean, like, dude. Well, I mean, if you don't have anything to say, I can continue. But if you,
yeah, pick up after me. Yeah.
Well, I think I mentioned this in the Fellowship podcast that we did. Which if you haven't listened to that, go check that out. Really proud of that episode. That I saw these movies late, right? I saw them in high school. I wasn't like there for it. And so I've always had, I still haven't seen them in theaters, and they always re-release them, especially in LA. They're always showing them again and again at the Alamo. So eventually I want to get tickets in and just go, because I need to see these movies in theaters. But yeah, Two Towers, like you, man, like this is the movie that I remember the most. Fellowship is like, I think Fellowship is close though, because Fellowship I did rewatch a lot, but Two Towers, just because of Helm's Deep and because of all the Gollum stuff, I feel like this is the movie that like I come back to, not only in clips that I look up on YouTube, but also just like the things that me and my friends reference. And I just like, I think this movie is so fucking influential to modern blockbuster filmmaking. And like there's no Endgame without this movie. Like there's no a third act of Endgame without Helm's Deep.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, I remember even like me and my friends, when we were little, we'd play on the playground or whatever, when we'd role play, I'd be like, oh, let's play Lord of the Rings. And we'd all be different characters. And we often fought over who would be Legolas. For some reason, kids loved Legolas. Or I might have talked about that in the last pod.
No, we discussed this. Legolas was really cool as a kid, because, I mean, he's just like, he's mysterious. He has white hair. He hits bows and arrows. I mean, he just looks sick.
Yeah, and he really shines in this one, too, especially in the Battle of Helm's Deep, when he's, like, shooting them all with the arrows, he's getting the crazy high kill count, and he's, like, skateboarding down the stairs on a shield.
And he has, like, more personality in this one, which is rightly so. He's getting, like, more familiar with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's getting more comfortable, especially his relationship with Gimli is developing. I think Two Towers just makes a really perfect middle piece to a trilogy. It's kind of when things go from bad to worse, when things hit their maximum despair. Like, the first one is essentially kind of a fun and games sequence, even though, like, the first one's not really fun and games. There's still some pretty tragic deaths in it, and it's still very stressful. But it's like the whole gang's together, and it feels like, okay, this mission could be done. By the end of the movie, when Frodo and Sam go on their adventure, they're kind of like, okay, we're going to do this together. Hell yeah. And then the second one's them kind of actually facing the evil that they're wanting to go up against. And they're realizing it's more challenging than they thought to hold it together and to stay loyal and to stay hopeful and to still stick their necks out for each other.
Is that something that like you learned, like, because I know you went to film school, and is that something that was like taught to you in film school? Like, was this one of the big sequels that you guys looked at?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, no, not that one in particular. Funny enough, we didn't talk about Lord of the Rings a whole lot from what I remember. As weird as it is, I know we talked about Star Wars for sure, which is another perfect middle piece movie, Empire Strikes Back. But
no, it's not. It's not. No, that sequel isn't discussed at all.
Yeah, no. That and Godfather Part 2. But we learned kind of in a broad sense the story structure of how to keep an audience interested in terms of like, the first third of the movie is typically kind of like when you're first stepping into the adventure, it's called fun and games, where it's like, when Kevin McAllister's running around the house going crazy and jumping up and down the bed, he's kind of embracing the perks that come with this new adventure.
Right.
And then the second, third, or, the second piece of it is usually when shit gets really hard, and I think.
Was there ever a moment when you, because like when I like, because you had more of a background in like studying screenwriting and wanting to get into screenwriting, you watched it obviously when you were a kid, but then when you were rewatching it as you were growing up and then realizing that you wanted to get into screenwriting, was there a part of you watching Lord of the Rings where your brain would process like how they wrote this? Because that's the thing that when I watched, especially Two Towers, I can't even think of like someone sitting down and like adapting the book into a screenplay. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know. Putting pen to paper, fade in, misty mountains. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking. Like, when it comes to big scale epics like that, did you ever think about that? Like, okay, what did the screenplay structure of this look like, or did the movie just take you away?
I never really tried doing that for this one. This movie always took me away. I did try doing that for Empire Strikes Back. That was like my big epic trilogy sequel movie when it comes to breaking down structurally from a screenwriting perspective. This one, I was like, I don't even want to fucking bother.
Okay, so I want to ask you about that then, because like, what do you think this movie's so well respected as one of the great sequels. Mm-hmm. Why does this movie feel so fucking big? Like, aside from the set pieces, like even when they're talking to each other in rooms, it doesn't just feel like any other movie where people are talking to each other in rooms. We'll discuss this, but there's a lot of scenes where people are just talking about what to do. Like, people obviously remember the action sequences, but you and I, when we were like, the other day when we were like jotting down things we want to talk about, we were talking about like the bureaucracy of this movie and of like people discussing what they need to do. But even in those scenes, it feels huge.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is because there's urgency. There's like a ticking clock to all of it. It cuts away to Saruman and them building, their army, and you see how big the army's getting, that they're just marching upon and they're raiding the villages. They're barely getting out with their lives all the time. You can feel the stakes that are at hand, and especially those seeds were planted in the last movie when you see what kind of threat they're actually up against. And so I think it makes the scenes of them talking in rooms feel more, dangerous, because they're trying to figure out what to do immediately. They're under so much pressure, but they've never been in this situation before, and none of the characters, you know what I mean? And so I think you can feel that. It comes out of the dialogue and the emotions that the characters are having. They're all kind of fighting over what the best way to go about this is. They say, don't go to Helm's Deep, but you're going to be trapped and die. And basically, like, the king is like, listen, it's a bad idea, but it's an idea. Like, I'm doing something. You know what I mean?
No, and it's... Okay, I mean, we can talk about the king all day. The king is like one of my favorite characters in this movie.
He's he's amazing.
He's like, and he's amazing because he's not like a traditional badass, and he is scared. Like that, there's something fascinating living in the world that we live in today to see a leader that wants to do good, but he's terrified. And he's grieving his son, and he feels like a human. Like he feels like a human in all the imperfect ways. You know what I mean? Where it's like he's letting his emotions guide him. And by the end, he finally realizes that all he needs to do is ride for his friends, But
yeah,
and ride for his people. But for the longest time, it's kind of like I don't know what to do. And Gandalf is frustrated. It's just like, I don't know. I'm rambling here, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. There's this recurring thread of like inaction versus action, Like even when you first meet the king, he's under a spell where he can't do anything. He's not taking any steps to help or doing, and they have to free him from that spell. And then meanwhile, we'll get to the Ents, but the Ents are dealing with their own bureaucracy of them all kind of converging, and we have agreed that you are not orcs, Like, yeah. There's this kind of essence of like, just fucking do something. Like, maybe now is not the time to talk and calculate the perfect plan, which I can relate to because me, I'm a guy that likes to think before doing things. And it's funny because some of my favorite moments in movies, or some of my favorite characters are people that just do things without thinking about it. You know, I have a tattoo of Han Solo's blaster on my wrist. I'll show it on camera. I'm sure many people have seen it already.
I mean, I was saying this in our Superman episode towards the end. I mean, there's something about watching like superhero movies or fantasy movies where we want to look up to characters that are bigger than us because it gives us something to aspire to, right? Like I look at Aragorn because he's someone that like I'm desperately want to be, a man that has earned the loyalty of people around him because of his actions, not because of his words.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I like that this is a world that isn't so bogged down by politics. Like they incorporate politics into it, but it's not like Game of Thrones where it's like all these weird games being played. It's very much like a world of like heroes and villains, you know?
Well, you could tell though, because this is a movie, it has to keep the pace going. Like whereas Game of Thrones obviously has the time to get into the politics. Like it has the time to do a Battle of the Bastards, but then it also has the time to do an entire like, you know, Tyrion getting like interrogated, the throne room sequence or whatever. But like I think like the feeling that this movie gives me, the closest, I think it's between Oppenheimer and Avengers Endgame. And like, hear me out. What I'm trying to say is that Oppenheimer has this feeling when you watch it, which is we're going and we don't stop for 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like that movie feels like it's not stopping. It's not letting you go.
Yeah, and it has the same amount of pressure too, I think. And they're both completely different movies, like you said, but I do think that they both had that same urgency to it, where it's like the enemy is building this as well, and we have to race them. We have to get ahead of them. We have to outsmart them.
And then it has that endgame quality, which is pure cinema catharsis. Like when Aragorn returns, he needs to open the door dramatically and sway his hair. You know what I mean? When Gimli and Legolas are fighting, they need to joke around for us to feel that not only is their relationship getting closer, but like there's some humanity in what's happening. You know, like, and which is what the best Avengers movies do. Like, I see you've copied my beard. You know, like that feeling between Thor and Captain America and Infinity War. Like, I was thinking about like both ends of the spectrum when it comes to what big movies like this can do, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I even think of the line from Thor where it's like, no, you know, like, no, keep that. Like, you get the little one when they trade their hammers.
But dude, honestly, man, I do feel like Lord of the Rings is like super, like, Avengers movies are super indebted to like Lord of the Rings, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
And I especially like when I looked at Aragorn's return, when he comes to Helm's Deep, I immediately thought of like Captain America coming from the silhouette in Infinity War.
Oh yeah, I know. I know. I hear the music when I think of that image, and the audience is going ape shit when I saw it in theaters.
It's the closest I ever got to that feeling. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what point I'm getting to, but it's just a huge movie, you know?
Yeah, well, for sure. You know, the scale of it just goes from, you know, because I think the first one still was an amazing action movie when it comes to like, you know, the fighting that giant ogre troll thing, and they're in the caves and, you know, the dwarven ruins. But I think this one really just is like, this is a proper epic scale battle. You know, there's also this thing of like, you feel connected to the characters in a way that's different than before because they're going through such insurmountable odds together. Like leading up to the Battle of Helm's Deep, they talk about is how hopeless it is, of how outnumbered they are, and how out-weaponed they are. Whatever, they're getting like random non-soldiers to help fight because they just need everyone they can get.
I mean, literally, like again, while they're setting up Helm's Deep, like, or wait, no, not while they're setting up. While they when they finally arrive at Helm's Deep, Aragorn's gone. Which is like, talk about losing all hope. Like your main dude is like just gone. Like he might be dead. Like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they try to trick you into thinking he's dead. He falls straight up off a cliff for a little bit.
But I think what's important is that even when it's revealed to the audience that he's not dead, it takes a while for him to come back, which is I think a good choice because the characters need to feel that loss for a while. You know what I mean? And we need to earn that moment when Gimli like comes and hugs him. And we need to earn those moments where like they're kind of calling out Aragorn's luck. He's like, I don't know like what deal you made or whatever.
Yeah.
The main thing that we haven't really discussed yet is Sam, Frodo, and most importantly, Gollum. Like, Gollum's a proper character in this movie.
Oh, yeah. And probably one of the most iconic in the whole trilogy. I would argue, I think, like, when people talk about Lord of the Rings, most people try to get into Gollum impressions.
When I was in high school, I didn't know anything about, like, the behind the scenes of movies. I wasn't the film nerd that I am now. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know that was, like, mocap. I didn't know that was, like, Andy Serkis or whatever. I just thought that's a fully CGI, like, animation, and they just got a voice actor or whatever.
Sure.
And then I remember, like, a friend of mine, like, showed me, like, behind the scenes footage of Andy Serkis, and I had the reaction of, like, there's a guy that just does that?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I think everyone kind of reacted that way to Gollum when he first came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was like a new idea for a type of character. You know, I want to say I heard somewhere that Andy Serkis fought to do the mocap for it. I think they were originally just looking for a voice, but I think he wanted to, like, adopt the physicality. And it was a huge step. Like, that's another thing. Like, there would probably be no Thanos if it wasn't for Andy Serkis playing Gollum, you know?
It hands down changed movies forever. That performance.
There would be no Avatar.
100%. That performance changed movies. And, like, you know, obviously we have him as Caesar in Planet of the Apes movies, which are great, but, like,
yeah,
no. Okay, so, you know, we are with Sam and Frodo. Frodo is, you know, he's really feeling the burden of the ring, and Sam is there trying to cook him some potatoes, trying to get him through it.
What? I'm sorry?
Potatoes.
Thank you.
I've seen shirts that just say that.
It's so good.
But yeah, the whole thing that's really interesting about this movie with Frodo and Sam and Gollum is that Frodo's looking at Gollum with this kind of this, like, empathy, but it's not coming out of, like, pure human goodness. It's coming out of fear, because he feels like he needs to be kind to Gollum and he wants to trust Gollum, because he fears that there's a strong chance he might turn into Gollum. So
yeah,
and so that line that I say in my synopsis of, like, when Sam says we can't trust him, and Frodo says we have to, because I have to believe he can come back, or what, like, maybe I'm butchering the line, but that's what he says.
Yeah.
I mean, that line really resonated to me. And to get personal really quickly, because I want to hear what you think, but just to really make a point on it.
Yeah, really quick. Make it quick. This isn't a personal podcast. We shouldn't get into anything too personal.
I know. I just worry that I'm rambling. But, you know, in the past, like, I've always felt this feeling of, like, there's been a handful of people in my life that you have told me. You're like, dude, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but respectfully, this person doesn't have any respect for you. and
Yeah.
I think I've always felt this level of just, like, I'm not saying that I'm an empath, or I'm not saying that I'm this good person, but I've felt this level of just, like, I need to make sure that I'm trusting this person, because I fear that I am kind of them. I see my worst insecurities in that person. I see the worst part of myself I see in that toxic relationship that I have with this person. And so
that's interesting.
So I have this feeling that I need to, like, because I feel like if I cut them off, I'm cutting myself off. You know?
Yeah. I think, like, you know, both of us have soft spots for certain ways we've been treated before. I'm sure you've seen me treated certain ways where you're like, why are you dealing with that? You know? And I think that's probably pretty normal for a lot of people who are close friends, you know, where you see someone going through something, you're like, you don't have to deal with that shit.
And the grass is always greener. It's easier said than done, you know, all that stuff.
For sure, you know, and I think, you know, it's also probably fair to say I'm usually more blunt about it than you are when it comes to, like I'll pretty openly tell you, like, I don't like that guy.
Yeah, 100%.
For better or worse, I can imagine that's probably not the best way to go about it all the time. I'm sure it can make someone's defenses go up or make them feel insecure or something. That's not my intention. It never was, but I'm usually just kind of, I don't know. I can
No,
be
dude,
blunt.
to be honest with you, though, I remember the last podcast, we talked a lot about how I'm Sam and you're Frodo,
Hmm.
and how sometimes we switch. Watching Two Towers, I thought of you as Sam a lot. Like,
You know what's funny? I felt the same way, but I didn't want to say it because I don't want to be like, I'm the best character. I think you did the same thing in the last episode too.
yeah, because we both have such respect for Sam that we don't want to own that,
Yeah, yeah. And which is, I mean, I think it's good. Like, I think any good, healthy friendship, it should be a trade off to some extent. You know what I mean? I think people need to be there for each other in their weak points. Not everything's going to be one sided.
Well, I'm gonna ask you, why do you think, for watching Two Towers, why do you like resonate with Sam in our friendship?
Well, in the most loving way possible, Altaf, I've seen you struggle and go through things, and it's brought out not always the best behavior in you. And I've been through the same thing. Like I said, we talked about in the last one. I've been through the same thing. I struggle still, with certain mental health stuff. But I think on the receiving end, I've also been one to be like, okay, that's not personal. I know that like you're dealing with other shit. You know what I mean? And as your friend, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stubbornly like maintain my humanity and stick this out. You know what I mean? And kind of talk you through it, because I know you'll heal, and like that's not really you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it is a part of myself, and I know you're not trying to make me feel this way, so you don't have to pick up the pieces at all, but like, it is the part of myself that I feel a lot of shame for. Um, because yeah, like, when I'm at my lowest, I I become very self-centered because I can't think of anything but myself. And
Mm-hmm.
um like the way, we'll get to Sam's speech, but the way Sam picks Frodo up literally,
Mm-hmm.
right? When he asks like, what are we holding on to, Sam? And Sam picks Frodo up and says, there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Like, you have done that to me in many different ways. Like, you have picked me up when I'm at my lowest, when I've said things that I'm not proud of. And I think I've told you, I told you last week that like, you've had patience for me in a way that like no one has. And I mean, I hope that I've done the same for you, but like, I know that you've done that for me. Um, and there is this like, I think something that you see in me that I see in you as well, that when we're both at our lowest, we both know that we're not ourselves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's so special about what Sam does for Frodo, because man, Sam takes a beating in this movie when it comes to like, you almost feel sorry for Sam. You're just like, buddy, you could just ditch this guy.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, he knows what he signed up for from the way the first movie ended, and this one's him actually facing the music of what he signed up for. And it gets even worse in the third one. We'll get to that one once we cover the third movie. But he straight up gets kicked out of his group in the third one.
100%. The moment that like breaks me, besides the speech, is when like when they're talking about rationing out food early on.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And like Sam says something along the lines of like, we got to save some of, and Frodo's like, for what? Is like, for the journey back home. And Frodo kind of
yeah.
looks at him in just utter disbelief. Like, he's like, what are
Yeah,
you?
we're not coming back home from this.
Sam holding on to that, may, even if he doesn't believe it fully, like you can tell in Sam's eyes, like he doesn't even know. But
Yeah.
like Sam just knows that that's his role. Like he needs to have hope.
Yeah, he made a promise to Gandalf,
I don't know, man. It really moves me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, going off what you said, I appreciate that, man. Like you have been there for me during my lowest times, and we kind of elaborated on that at the end of the first movie's podcast. Of some of my own struggles with depression and et cetera, et cetera. I think I think, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I think there was something different about this one for some reason. I think you and I mold ourselves easier into me being the Sam and you being the Frodo.
Well,
There's just something kind of interesting about that.
I have like one reason that I think, aside from what we already discussed, a big reason for me is that I often let the weight of the world, like I let it come onto my shoulders a lot. Where like whatever's happening around, like I like, because it's a rough world out there. And so it's really hard. It's really hard to like just have a normal life when things are just like exploding everywhere around you, sometimes literally. And there are moments where it becomes crippling for me. And the hardest thing for me to do in those moments is to get out of my own head a little bit and do the thing that a lot of people say to do it during times like these, which is remember to be kind and remember to be generous. Because I feel like there's an ugliness that's brought out of me when things around me are so bad. And I do feel that you are the person that's helped me get out of those modes the most. And so, and Frodo's literally going through that. Frodo is like, there is literally no hope for us.
Well, and the weight of the world is literally like on that ring that he's carrying. You know what I mean?
I mean, you can only imagine Tolkien, coming from war, probably talking to war vets, or talking to his friends. He's probably heard or had conversations like that with people.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine the darkness that he had to look at, to really put pen to paper for this. Because, like, I guess just to quickly respond to what you're saying, I do know what you mean. Like, I think you and I handle despair differently. I've come to learn. I'm a little bit more avoidant of it. Like, I'm more of like yeah, things suck, but I mean, yeah, I'll be fine, whatever. Like, I kind of write it off with a joke a little bit and kind of just internalize it more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then until something happens, then I'll explode at some point. Then I'll fall apart, But I think you tend to kind of get quickly defeatist,
Yeah.
And I think maybe it makes you and I go well together in different ways, It's we're both working on ourselves. We're all growth minded here, We're talking about this stuff hopefully to normalize it for any listeners that might be dealing with the same thing, It's like we deal with shit too.
Yeah, I mean, like this. At least I'm speaking for myself. I'm a pretty open book when it comes to this podcast, but yeah, this movie also, we're talking about our friendship and how close we are, how we get each other out of those things and how Sam and Frodo get each other out. Sam gets Frodo out of those moments. A thing that really stands out about this movie, and you could say this about the entire trilogy, but this movie especially, is the expression of positive masculinity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this whole trilogy is like that, like you said, and I think we touched on it in the last podcast, but there's just more of it in this one that just will always be like, if we need to show more young boys like that it's okay to be emotional, et cetera, like it's these movies.
And I have some points that I want to bring up that are in our notes that we can talk about. But like the first moment of it for me that really stands out is that moment after the king, comes out from his like trance, basically from Saruman, and immediately asks where his son is.
Yeah.
It hard cuts to the ceremony. And then afterwards, there's this beautifully written scene between him and Gandalf. And I wrote it down. He just says a simple line of like, no parent should have to bury their child. I think I was thinking about this. I was like, there's very few blockbusters that are infused with that level of humanity. Where...
Oh, yeah. And seeing him just unapologetically weep over it. I mean, that line hits me
over, like with Gandalf. Like Gandalf's looking at it and he's weeping openly. That is like very powerful stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the line of no parent should have to bury their child hits me too, because I've seen a lady go through that. When Altaf, you know who this is, but I won't share it publicly. But it was a mutual Kind of, he wasn't literally an in-law, but kind of an in-law. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When he passed away.
Yeah.
His mother attended the funeral as well, and I heard her telling his wife that the same kind of thing, like almost like just saying like it's not right, like I shouldn't have to be doing this for my son, you know, like I should be like almost like saying like I should have gone before him, like that's not how it should work.
I mean, I can't even fathom what that feels like, because my experience of seeing that happen is this guy wasn't my friend, but I knew him so well because he was in the same religious community that I was, came to the same prayer that I did. And he was like a year or two older than me. So we weren't like friends, but we saw each other almost every day. And he was someone that like struggled with drugs and alcohol, but later went to rehab and got better, you know? And his mom and my mom are very close friends. And they would talk all the time, and his mom would always tell my mom that like, I'm so proud of him. He's changed his life around. He would help his dad at work. He like got his life together. And we don't know the reason. It's a personal family matter, but they found him they found him dead in his apartment. His mom would talk to my mom over the phone and be like, I don't know what to do. Like, he's my son. Like, how can I even go to the funeral? Like, his mom didn't even know how to process that feeling, you know? And for Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, this movie that also has Helm's Deep, that has all these like fun moments with Aragorn tossing Gimli, and like it has all those moments, to have that scene and for us to just sit there and for Gandalf to watch the king, you know, go through that. Like, this is what life does. This is what war does. And because of that scene, you understand the king not wanting immediately to go into fighting mode. Like, you understand why they, like, you get it. I don't know, man. That is like, that's what we do not get all the time from blockbusters today. That's what Marvel movies just do not do, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's like we made the comparisons to Marvel movies, but Marvel never does shit like that, you know? Even like the line at the very end that kind of brings it home, the point you're trying to get at when it comes to like war and what it does to people and the spirit. I love the line too that Gandalf says at the end after the Battle of Helm's Deep, when he's like, the battle for Helm's Deep is over. The battle for Middle Earth is just beginning. You know?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, fuck. I know that was like just one battle. Like, there's still a whole ass war they got to get through, and they barely made it out of that.
Sam's speech is obviously another great example of positive masculinity, but the moment towards the end when they're walking through the woods and Sam is saying, like, I wonder if they'll put us in the stories. I wonder if they'll be like, tell me the story about Frodo and the ring. And Frodo's talking about how Sam needs to be in that story, is because Frodo couldn't have done it without Sam. And I know it's been memed a lot, and I know people like, you know, lovingly tease it, but the way Frodo looks at Sam when he says that, and the way he slows down the delivery of his speech, is as if like two lovers are talking. And again, I know it's been memed a lot, and I appreciate the memes too, just as much as anyone. But I want to say that I love that he looks at Sam like that. I love that that's in the movie. I like that. Just that you just do not put that stuff in movies today. That level of sincerity. Like, the only other movie that really has done it is RRR. Like, RRR, like, in the past 5 years, RRR is the only movie where the two men look at each other and you really feel that they love each other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would argue the closest as well, this is a weird example, is Superbad, too. You know, when you have, like, good, intimate male friendships where two people, like, you know, because, like, and it's fun when men put up a front and they kind of cover things up and whatever. I love all that stuff, too. But when there's always something extra special when it's really earned, when, you know, these two friends, like, really see each other. The fact that Frodo just tells him, like, you know, when he was saying, like, you know, no, they're forgetting Samwise the Brave. And he says, Frodo wouldn't have gone far without Sam. you know?
But the way he
And
says it is so earnest and so loving. Like, I just,
exactly, that he just gives him that, like, he's like, no, I'm, because like Sam was like, come on, like, stop joking or whatever he says, and he's like, I wasn't, you know, he's telling him the truth. He's like, no, like, really, like, pretty much just telling him like, thank you, I love you. That's basically what he's saying,
I,
you know?
I will constantly like say to my friends, like when I'm saying goodbye, hey, love you. Like, I'll just say that. And, the way I think about it is like, you know, because I know sometimes it's kind of weird to tell you, like for guys especially, it's weird for guys to tell each other that they love them, you know? For me, the way I think about it is always like, I mean, you are like one of the most important people in my life. I do love you. Like that there's just nothing else to say besides that. You know, and so like
My brain goes straight to super bad, like, you know, I love you, man, you know, whatever. And he's like, why we should say it all the time when they're all drunk.
and I love Superbad, and I love that moment feels earned, and it is earnest, and they do love each other. But even in Superbad, I hate to say it, but they're drunk. That I don't think that.
Oh
scene,
yeah.
that scene wouldn't happen if they were sober. They would love each other, but they wouldn't express it. And I just love that, like in Two Towers, like he doesn't say "I love you, Sam," but he says it. He like literally just says it in that way, you know.
Yeah. In defense of Superbad, I will say, like, that's what I like that about it, though. To me, that's more closer to the truth. You know what I mean? That it takes them being boozed up to finally let it out. You know what I mean?
That's true. It is like closer to reality. I just like that in a fantasy movie, we have the fantastical version of what two men would say to each other.
Totally. I understand that as well. I think, like, you know, for me, it's like I like to kind of save it for like when it, like, it's weird. Like, I don't like cheapening the impact of it either. And I'm not saying you're doing that or doing that intentionally or anything like that, but I like saying that sort of thing when it really feels right to say it, you know? And maybe that's not always the right approach. You know, maybe it is okay to just normalize that sort of thing. But for me, it's like, sometimes I feel like it's going to cheapen it or make it feel like it has less impact.
I mean, I've also thought about this. It's like, we don't know. Life is so fucking unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And I would kind of feel happy if the last thing I said to you was, I love you. You know what I mean?
You know, what's funny is I agree, you know, that there's truth in that. With my previous partner, I used to do that. Where pretty much that was something I always made a point to say at the end of every phone call, because she'll call me like on her way home from work at the time, you know, just to shoot the shit, tell me about her day and whatever. And that was always like a thing I always made sure to do. Like every single phone call I ever had, I had to end it with "I love you," just in case, especially when she was behind the wheel.
Right.
You know, so there's truth in that. You know, so any listeners who don't do that, start telling your loved ones you love them.
Or you could do the whole, and just in case I don't see you,
Can you finish it? I forgot it.
good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah. Or you can do the J.K. Simmons, you know, call your mom.
Yeah, don't text her, call her.
Oh, I know, right?
And it's the specificity of like call your mom. Like it's just like, I know all of you are such little bitches about calling your mom. You know.
But, you know, bringing things back to Two Towers, I think what makes those moments that we're really talking about so powerful, though, is because of how much suffering they've been through. And I think there's a lot of truth in that just in general, that, like, you know, when people suffer together, when you can own that suffering, when you can all, you know, all kind of come together and be like, okay, this is fucking hard what we're going through, but we're going to stick it out. The bond you create with them is immeasurable, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what, you know, when you talk about like you and I casually saying we love each other, whatever, it's like, yeah, because you and I built a business together. We've been through some shit times. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's okay. We can come to terms with that, but we've been through some wild shit together. You know what I mean? In the past, like, you know, 8 years of friendship we've had.
Yeah, man. It was like, that's why I remember when you were leaving LA, I was like, man, my LA experience was you. Like, you were my entire experience in LA.
Yeah.
I met you within my first day. And so it's like, it was wild when you were leaving, because I'm like, I don't really know how to live in LA without you, you know? So it is like, yeah, we've gone through the ringer with each other. It's true.
Well, and also, like, think of it this way. Like, I don't think you and I would be nearly as close if everything was peaches and roses for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. It would,
We both have had to put our heads together. We've had to problem solve. We've had to fight and disagree and then come to a middle ground and trust. You know, you've had to put your trust in me on something. I've had to put my trust in you on things. We've showed up for each other. that's how it goes. Like it comes, like the obstacles are what really bring you close to someone.
And there was that like great moment in our friendship where like, I was kind of stuck on the side of a mountain and I couldn't go any further. And then you just like carried me.
Well, and I first described to you what strawberries taste like.
Yeah, of course. We're not going to talk about Return of the King, but like, it's funny. We did this at Fellowship where we were like, Fellowship was like, okay, we can't talk about Two Towers yet. Like,
yeah, we're saving it. Don't worry. So anyone that enjoyed the Fellowship podcast and enjoyed this one, rest assured, we will get to Return.
Let's move on to like some of the other characters. Obviously, we've been mentioning Aragorn, sprinkling him through. I think I just gotta say it. It's like the hottest anyone's ever looked in a movie.
I know. I remember hearing somewhere that Aragorn is a lot of millennial, a lot of millennial women's first crush. Side note too, when he's first introduced, remember how it just cuts to him with his ear to the rock and he's like, they've quickened their pace. We must hurry. And then you just see them, they're all running and the music swells and then it pushes in on Legolas and then Gimli's catching up with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yay.
Well, I was telling you when I was like sitting down to watch this movie for the podcast, I'm like, I'm about to go see my friends again.
And totally, that's what it feels like. As soon as they show up again, I'm like, I had a big dumb grin on my face. And you know me well enough, Altaf, that I'm not like a big dumb grin guy when watching movies.
Okay, so people might not know this because in the movie reaction channel, Chris had to put his hands down. But Chris is a big hand over face while watching a movie.
That's true. Actually, yeah. That is some fun insider knowledge on the old Nice Dude days.
In fact,
when you did reactions.
Yeah, I was like, in fact, when we just started doing reactions, I remember, Chris, I had to tell you, I'm like, hey man, so I think you might want to practice putting your hand down because in thumbnails, it's getting hard to pick out a screen grab.
And I think as well, too, it just didn't make the video as compelling when you can't see my facial expression.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, that's like, you're usually pretty stoic when you watch movies. You enjoy them, but you're not a huge reactor. But Lord of the Rings is different, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, going back to Aragorn, though, they do explore, more of his leadership, like you said, more of the weight that's on his shoulders. I also like the little moments, too, where they elaborate on his relationship with, what's her name? Liv Tyler.
Yeah, Liv Tyler. That's we can call her Liv
Just
Tyler.
Liv Tyler. But I love that sequence, too, when they show kind of like the reality of what their relationship will be.
Arwen.
Because Arwen, that's right. Thank you. But, that little side fantasy sequence of showing of how he'll eventually die of old age and then she's just going to linger.
Yeah, the La La Land sequence.
My brain went through like a wave of confusion.
I know.
At first I was like, what the fuck? How is that even remotely how does La La Land come into this movie?
You'll see it because we have our camera shut off because of the internet, but like you'll see it in the edit. I was like excited because I'm like, okay, let him process it. He's gonna get it.
That was funny. But yeah, the La La Land sequence. If there's anything listeners can get out of this episode, just know that sequence, it's La La Land coded.
Anyone notice that Two Towers is really La La Land coded?
Do you think they stole from La La Land?
No, but yeah.
Just rage baiting the commenters to be like, no, La La Land came later.
So yeah, like I mean, did you want to mention anything about that sequence though? I cut you off.
No, I mean, really, I'm just saying like they did more with his character, is really the core of what I'm getting at. And I think Aragorn, like you said, is hotter than ever. And he's also more interesting than ever.
Now he's being like, wanted by another woman, Eowyn.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's the classic Aragorn problem. I'm so hot, everyone wants me, but I'm also too busy with war.
Yeah, I'm too busy saving the world. He's too busy, to get caught up in hanky-panky.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's not that much more internalization with Aragorn in this movie. It's very much him trying to do the job he's asked to. Not to say that he doesn't have great moments, but like Fellowship, there's more of like this like denial of his destiny. And then we get back to in Return of the King, there's more internalization with Aragorn. But in this movie, he's just like, without the cockiness, he just reminds me of Han Solo. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he rides the line, he jumps the gun.
100%. And he's the guy that's kind of running around, be like, God, what are you doing? But I think the tiny moments that he has with all the characters make me really happy. Like when Legolas kind of loses his shit, and then he's like, they're all gonna die. And then Aragorn's like, then I will die alongside them. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah, you will, Aragorn.
Someone captioned it. Someone put like a little meme because like, you know how they were speaking Elvish at first because they didn't want to worry the other people?
Yeah.
Someone just captioned it like when he says in English, you know, like, then I will die as one of them. And it's like a close-up of Legolas looking a little like pissed off. And someone captioned it like, oh my God, Aragorn, we were speaking Elvish for a reason.
Like, you didn't have to, now they know.
Like there's like an ongoing thing. I remember I saw this on Tumblr. This is back in those days, back like 10 years ago. But like someone did another one where they used the dialogue from Mean Girls for when Gandalf comes back. And it was like Aragorn being like, so if you're Gandalf, why are you white? And then Legolas turns over, oh my God, Aragorn, you can't just ask someone why they're white.
Well, before we continue, I just want to say, because I kind of forgot to mention this up top, viewers can't see this properly because it's a bit higher up and I don't feel like taking off the hat. But my friend for my birthday last month got me a great gift, which is a hat that reads Second Breakfast Club. And I wore it for today's podcast. It's unfortunate you can't really see it that clearly, but still, I just wanted to shout that out. And I'll, for viewers, I'll include a photo of it on the side somewhere here.
Yeah, you know, that friend actually texted me ahead of time saying, I want to get Altaf a hat for his birthday. Can you help me pick one? And I picked that one. So it's like, I kind of take a little credit for it too. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah. No, it's very sweet.
It is a really cool gift.
So what I was going to mention, though, about that whole Aragorn-Legolas interaction, I love that afterwards Legolas apologizes, and Legolas is like, you've never led us astray, I'm sorry. And Aragorn's like, you have no need to apologize. You know?
Yeah, he's like, there's nothing to forgive, or whatever. Like, like, we're all kind of under a lot of stress right now, and if that's the worst we've had is us snapping at each other a little bit, you know, like, we're in pretty good shape.
That's the thing I kind of like about Aragorn, which is like this, he has this thing about him, which is something that I always wish I had, which is this like feeling of like, okay, that was fine. You said that in the heat of the moment. Let's just move on. It's fine. He knows when people actually mean something versus when they are just like, you know, overwhelmed. And he can sense that, which is what makes him a really good leader. And it's a quality that I like kind of aspire to.
Yeah, I'm the same. You know, I think everyone should aspire for that sort of thing, you know, especially when you're in leadership positions or any position of power. You know, you have people that are going to congregate and people with different opinions than yours, and you have to figure out when to second guess yourself and when not to.
He's such like a, you know, noble and healthy version of what a Chad is.
What would you consider like a healthy Chad? Like, can you rename it from Chad to like, you know, like Chadsworth or something, like a little classier of a name?
Yeah. Okay, Chadsworth. I think Aragorn's a Chadsworth. Yeah. So George Bailey, he's a Chadsworth. Even though George Bailey has a lot of flaws and he goes through a mental breakdown and like basically like curses out his family without really cursing, but still. But still, he's a Chadsworth.
Yeah, George Bailey's an ultimate Chadsworth. I get that.
Help you down. You know.
I love how much you and I say that line still. Help you down.
It's a Wonderful Life has such quotable lines, but for some reason that line really stuck out to us.
I remember, anyone that's a longtime Nice Dude fan who was there for that reaction knows how much we enjoyed that line when we saw it at the moment.
Oh, totally. We also did a podcast on It's a Wonderful Life. I'd highly recommend checking that out.
Yeah, and we'll probably do another one at some point too. It's like a yearly watch. By the way, I just bumped my hand on the mic, so I apologize if that made a noise.
Oh, come on.
Oh, mic etiquette, rookie. Do you want to talk about the Ents a little bit?
Sure.
Like Merry and Pippin. We haven't even said Merry and Pippin once.
Which is a shame. I love the Ents storyline. It's very alarming when it goes to Helm's Deep and then we cut back to the Ents still talking.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think the closest we get to that type of storyline is probably in The Last Jedi, you know, on Canterbury when they free all the animals. You know, when you feel nature coming in.
Fucking troll. I can't even like see your face right now, but I know what it looks like.
I just got a big smile, man. I'm just laughing.
Okay, so how do you feel about the Ents?
Oh, they're great. I love the Ents. They're so weird.
Yeah, man, that's what I love about it. I love how weird they are.
Yeah, like I just love like, well, obviously, like, you know, I like how they deny that they're trees, even though they're literally just talking, walking, alive trees. But they're like, "Tree? I am no tree." like it's like an offensive way to cheapen them. It almost reminds me of like calling Rocket Raccoon a raccoon, you know?
Yeah, where he just denies even knowing what a raccoon is.
Yeah, but no, I think like they're a really emotionally they're a really cool kind of metaphor for like kind of Mother Earth coming back. You know what I mean? Like you can do what you can to fuck with this planet, but the planet will fuck with you back. And you can look at it from on a grander scale of like climate change and these certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But on just a basic nature level, I just see that as like the Earth has ways of getting you back.
And the Earth wins. Like the Earth will win. Whatever we do, there are things that are just out of our control, and like you said, nature will fight back.
Yeah, and it's just all the more satisfying once, because there's obviously, there's so much of them like converging and taking so long because their way of communicating is so ancient and it's slow. But I love Pippin's idea of just leading them to the cut down forest and just showing it to him, and just, again, it's the urgency of everything. It's like, we got to make a decision now. We don't have time to talk about it. I wish times were better if we could talk about it, but we can't.
So, this is a movie where they really grow up, because there's especially that line of dialogue where it's like Mary telling Pippin that's just like, there isn't going to be a home. The fire will burn everything that is green. Like, we have to fight. There's no like going back anymore. We are protecting the Shire,
Yeah. It's the Infinity War line, How could you be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man if there's no neighborhood?
Which is quickly ruined by, okay, that didn't make any sense, but you know what I mean, which is the dumbest punch-up line ever. Anyways. It's like, we could have just had a great Spider-Man line and you had to fuck it up because you didn't trust the audience. Anyways.
Make no mistake, I was baiting you into that rant a little bit.
I know, because you know how much it upsets me, because I'm like, that's such a good Spider-Man line. You almost had it. You know what I mean?
I know. And even to be clear for people, we love Infinity War. Like, we have a commentary track of it, and we'll probably cover it on the podcast, but that line will always bother us.
Yeah, it's not necessary. But Two Towers doesn't do shit like that. So what were we saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, like the end's coming in clutch. Once they decide to take action, you talk about how it's a coming of age story for Merry and Pippin, because Merry realizes that this is bigger than they are and they need to step up and do what they can. And they do play a tremendous role. The fact that they get the Ents to like step in and to like destroy their entire operation in Isengard is pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
And you know what's great is that, sure, Merry and Pippin like step up, right? They really take charge, but they also maintain who they are. Like, the moment like those apples come in and they see the weed, they get so excited.
Yeah. Which, I actually really like that moment too, for that reason, because that was an extended edition thing.
Oh, okay.
That whole sequence of them finding that pantry full of all the food and them smoking and all that stuff, that was all new for me, at least, when I watched it. So I appreciated it going in where it's like, oh, it's just more Merry and Pippin shenanigans.
Yeah, it's really funny when you get to Return of the King and like the Gandalf and Aragorn and everyone sees the Merry and Pippin just eating and smoking, and they're like, fucking hobbits, what the hell?
They can't help themselves. They always got to eat. They always got to smoke. They always got to dance and sing.
So we haven't really talked about Gandalf at all in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gandalf the White.
You sent me a text. I am going to find it right now. You sent me a text when you first started watching the movie with like a photo of you starting Two Towers, and it's like the photo of Gandalf, about to fall and saying, "Fly, you fools."
Yeah.
And then you texted me with that photo saying, him repeatedly stabbing a demon while they're flying down a mountain is so metal.
Yeah, it really is, man. It's like, this is like what Ronnie James Dio sings about. You know what I mean?
Which is like, it is that kind of thing. It's like, fuck it, I'm going down swinging. I don't care.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't stop. He's like, I'm not just gonna die here. I'm gonna fucking kill this thing while I'm falling. It reminded me of like God of War or something.
Yeah, you literally say that right after that text. You're like, God of War energy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, so I wasn't in the theater for this. Do you remember when Gandalf the White shows up in theaters, what that was like?
Oh yeah, dude. Well, cause yeah, I was a little kid, so I didn't, I didn't know anyone that read the books. I didn't know anything about it. The story was completely new for me, and so when I went into Two Towers, like, okay, Gandalf's dead. You know what I mean? And he went out in a badass way. But so, you know, I remember when he comes back or he's reborn as Gandalf the White, I remember being like, oh shit. Like as a little kid, I was like, oh, Gandalf's back. And I don't remember, because I know they do a fake out where you think it's Sauron at first, where they say, oh, we're taking you to the White Wizard. Honestly, as a kid, I don't remember being tricked by that. I don't remember how I felt during that part.
Sure.
But I do remember just the moment of Gandalf coming back and saying, like, I'm not, when he's like, I haven't been called Gandalf in a long time, or whatever he says when they call him Gandalf, because he lived, a cajillion lifetimes when he was like sent back. Like, I mean, again, how metal is that where the afterlife was like, no, Gandalf, you got more to do.
Yeah, we're not done with your shit yet.
Yeah, we won't accept you. You have more to do. We're going to send you back.
There's a line right before Gandalf runs out and tells Aragorn is like, look for me on the 5th day, or whatever. Gandalf says, bemoaning like the urgency of war, saying 300 lives of men I've walked earth and now I have no time.
Yeah.
Oh God, fucking Gandalf has some bangers in here. I mean,
he's got some bars.
When Gandalf comes in towards the end of Helm's Deep, right after Aragorn has told the king, remember that moment where Aragorn tells the king to be like, just ride with me one last time. Yeah. And Aragorn and the king just go out swinging. It like makes you want to cry. And fucking then you see Gandalf the White show up and he's kind of nodding his head. He's like, I'm here, bitches. And then everyone shows up and there's that fucking epic shot of them riding down the hill. I mean, dude, I'm watching this. I've never seen this in theaters, but the other night I'm watching this at home on my TV. And I'm still getting that feeling as if I'm seeing it on the Cinerama Dome. It's like insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My favorite shot is when it's a little later, when Sam's giving the speech and it cuts to them, like when the king's going like, we have victory. And you see that shot of Gandalf like smiling while he's fighting.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh man, they're like, like they almost like they don't believe what's happening. That like we actually made it through that.
And it's really pointed that Sam's speech is over that. Like,
exactly,
you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like in what Frodo might think that all hope is lost, but there's people always fighting, Mm-hmm. At least that's how and like Aragorn says, like there's always hope. That's that small scene that he has with that person. I just think they're saying there's no hope, that we might all die. And then Aragorn just tests out the sword. He does a little cool flip thing because he just knows his way around a sword like that. Again, like the hottest anyone's ever been in a movie. And then he just gives the sword back. He's like, it's a good blade. There's always hope. And you're like, oh, of course there is, Aragorn.
I know. I think like I think what really brings it home is when, obviously, when Sam's delivering his speech, when he says like,
well, can I can I
Go
read
ahead.
some of it a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so first when Frodo puts the blade to Sam in like just straight up manic energy, Sam says just the heartbreaking line. It's like, "It's your Sam. Don't you know your Sam?" And Sam says, "It's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here, but we are. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes full of darkness and danger they were." Sorry. And
a little Yoda.
I know. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad has happened? And this is when you see like Gandalf fighting and the king victory. Yeah. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't, because they were holding on to something. What were they holding on to, Sam? And then...
Don't ruin it. Come on. Read it.
Yeah, sorry. What were they holding on to, Sam? And Sam says, that there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. Right before that scene, Frodo was legitimately about to give the ring away. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, and he almost killed Sam over it. He straight up almost stabbed him in the throat.
So you were saying to bring it home, you mentioned that speech. I wanted to read it out, but what was your
Yeah.
main point?
When you were saying like that the sun will shine all the brighter too, I think there's something. I've always been fascinated by the argument of like evil is necessary to exist for us to understand good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's debatable. I don't want to bring a whole philosophical element into, like the conversation, because we can go on forever about that. But I do think that, I think there's always kind of like the moments that define you, at least as a person, or as a people or whatever, are when you go through the struggles. Kind of like how you and I talked about our friendship, how like we've been through some crazy shit together. And I think, the parts that really stick out are, still moving forward through the bad times. There's anything that people should get out of Two Towers on an emotional, philosophical standpoint is like, fucking stick it out. You know what I mean? Don't underestimate where the universe will guide you if you just gave a shit and tried.
After that scene, after all of it, there's that like dark scene with Gollum, basically ditching Smeagol, really like harnessing, like really giving up on Smeagol. Because there is that whole scene, that famous scene is like, go away and never come back.
Yeah. Nobody likes you, whatever he says,
But like the go away and never come back line is this feeling of hope you might have for Gollum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Gollum goes the other way. Gollum doesn't have a Sam,
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, Gollum is like kind of be like, okay, this is our plan. We're gonna lead them astray, and then it kind of pans back up to Mordor.
Yep, it's like they still got a ways to go, and now this little creature dude is plotting to kill them.
Yeah, and it leaves you with this feeling of like, remember what Sam said. It wasn't like all goods, everything's okay now. It's that there's some good in this world. That like we gotta fight. We gotta fight for it.
Yeah, well, it's what Gandalf said too. Where he's like, the battle of Helm's Deep is over, but the battle for Middle Earth is just about to begin, or whatever he says.
Man,
it's like they still got ways to go.
Every time Gandalf mentions, and it's just up to those two little hobbits, Every time Gandalf mentions Sam and Frodo as two little hobbits, it makes my heart warm because he's like, I like that Gandalf is still thinking about them. That he's like,
yeah.
That he's like, it's our two little hobbits. They're gonna save the day. Like he's like,
well, that's the best thing is that Frodo and Sam don't even know that Gandalf is alive.
Frodo and Sam are so out of the loop. Like for them, it's like, it really is, they feel alone. But I mean, that's why like when we get to Return the King and Aragorn turns around and says for Frodo, the reason that hits so hard is because they're all there for him, but Frodo doesn't know.
Yeah.
And Sam has to represent that, you know what I mean, for Frodo. But I think that's what makes it so powerful is that you might feel in this world that nobody's in your corner, but in reality is that like more people are in your corner than you realize.
Yeah, even if it's not directly to you, you don't know how much people are worried about you behind your back, talking to other people about it or whatever it is. There are people that think about you too. You might be taking up someone else's mental bandwidth more than you think.
Unless there's something else you want to get to Shouties.
Yeah, let's do some shouties. So shouties, for those who don't know, are little shout-outs or small moments that matter to us.
Yay!
Yay! We made a point to describe it because we normally say shouties and more people started asking us what shouties are. They're just short for shout-outs, nothing special.
But we decided to make it into a consistent segment that we're going to have at the end of each episode. Okay, can I start?
Yeah.
So I have this one line from Éomer to Frodo. Hey guys, it's me. No, it wasn't Éomer. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. It was actually, so it's Faramir. I'm sorry. Faramir. Is that how you pronounce his name? Faramir. I'm going to say it one more time. Faramir. It was Faramir. I'm going insane. Éomer says to Frodo, the enemy? His sense of duty was no less than yours, I deem. You wonder what his name is, where he came from, and if he was really evil at heart, what lies or threats led him on this long march from home. If he would not rather have stayed there in peace. War will make corpses of us all. I mean, that very much could have just been J.R.R. Tolkien just like stunting on us. Like he was just like, here, I got this one line for you, but still, it's amazing.
Oh yeah. Quick shouty to the banter / bickering between Gimli and Legolas. I especially love the line when all the Uruk-hai were closing in and he can't see. And he's like, what's happening up there? And Legolas is like, shall I describe it to you? Or do you want me to find you a box? And then Gimli just looks at him. He's like, he just starts laughing really hard.
I would highly encourage anyone who's interested and loves Gimli and Legolas in that scene. Look up the clip from this, like, I think it was 2020 where they did this reunion with the cast of Lord of the Rings, where they did this reading. And the actor who played Gimli put on the helmet and like tilted his camera to look as short as Gimli so his face was cut off and did that line. And Orlando Bloom full on did the like head tilt the way Legolas would and said the line.
And that's rad.
And you could see like the entire cast like fucking dying laughing. Like Ian McKellen is laughing so hard.
Yo, yeah. And
yeah, it makes you feel good.
Well, you give me a shout. We'll go back and forth. We'll trade shouties.
Aragorn and Gimli going up to the tower to like attack from the other side, and Gimli just decides like, you're gonna have to toss me. And Gimli looks at Aragorn and is like, not a word to the elf. And Aragorn's like, not a word. And then I just love that moment because this is like lack of pride. Like Gimli's let that go for the sake of the war.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, and also like their count, you know, they're measuring each other's kills. It's like, I got 2 already. He's like, I'm on 17. You know?
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best.
Shouty to the warg scene. I know we didn't talk about that one, but you know, those giant attack hyenas that attack everyone. That whole battle sequence is really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, hey, shouty to like, I think I want you to say it, but that one orc, I think, who is like bothering Saruman.
Yeah, like the foreman or whatever, when he's like, you know, we don't have enough wood or whatever. Like when he's all stressed out to just saying like we don't have the resources to build, and Saruman's just being a good leader. He's like, you know, cut down the trees over there. Like he doesn't get mad at him.
To clarify, Chris doesn't think Saruman's a good person. Chris just said he's a good leader. But
I'm kind of copying the comment section. People were joking, being like, no, Saruman's actually a good boss. Like he listens to the feedback and puts it into action. He doesn't like put more pressure on that.
But I just don't want people tweeting about us, Chris, saying that Chris thinks Saruman is good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Saruman has some points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see both sides.
No, we're neutral on this.
You've quoted that line to me in the wind up to doing this podcast many times. Like, we need more wood.
We don't have enough weapons. Like he's just all fucking flustered all the time.
Before we wrap this up, any last shouties, dude?
I mean, we touched on it lightly, but shouty to that Gollum scene when he's like arguing with himself. It's such a well done scene. It's so cool.
Really well.
It's been parodied so much too. It's just such an iconic moment.
Okay, well, are you ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
We usually have write-ins where people write us in at moviesthatchangedus@gmail.com. I just want to remind people that you can continue doing that. We didn't get any write-ins for this one, unfortunately, but whenever we're about to record a new episode of the podcast, we put up what movie we're doing and where you can email us on our YouTube community post. So stay subscribed to this channel if you want to see those. And we put it up on our Instagram. I want to start making those like shorts where I announce them as well. So just stay tuned on our all socials to know what movie we're doing next and how you can email us to know let us know how that movie changed you so we can read it out on this podcast. It's like one of our favorite parts of doing this show. So we'd really love it.
Yeah. We put them on Patreon as well. And I guess when it comes to this episode, if anyone missed the prompt or wanted to email but didn't get a chance to, or didn't make the time, whatever, just let us know in the comments. Like just act as if you're emailing us in the comments. Tell us how this movie changed you. Tell us how you grew up with it. If you did, any anecdotes behind it, anything that you want to know, light us up in the comments. We do want to hear what you have to say.
100%. I second that. I second breakfast that.
Ooh.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to our patrons for supporting us again and again. We really appreciate it. Go over to our Patreon to watch Chris guess the movie emoji. And last but not least, stay nice, dudes.